Hi, boys and girls, and welcome to Storytime. This week we're going to read about knights, and we have all different stories about knights in shining armor. All right, we're going to start with our welcome song. We clap to say hello. We clap to say hello. We are here at Storytime. We clap to say hello. We wave to say hello. We wave to say hello. We are here at Storytime. We wave to say hello. We stomp and say hello. I stomp and say hello. We are here at Storytime. We stomp and say hello. And we have Get Well, Good Night today. Once there were 3 little dragons. They lived in a dark cave. The cave was in a dense forest. The forest was in a faraway kingdom, but poor little dragons were not feeling well. They were in their beds in the deep, dark cave. In the kingdom, there was a good knight. Every night, he kept watch from his tower, and every day he rode in the forest. One day he was riding. "Methinks I hear a sneeze," said the good knight. He galloped through the forest, clippity-clap, clippity-clap. He came to a deep, dark cave. Inside he saw the little dragons in bed. "What is this?" asked the good knight. "Methinks my little dragon friends are not well." The good knight reached down. He felt the dragons' scaly little foreheads. Their heads were hot with fever. Their noses were drip, drip, dripping. Their teeth were chit, chit, chattering. Sniffle, sniffle went the first dragon. Cough, cough went the second dragon. Achoo went the third dragon. "Fear not, good dragons, I will help you get well," said the good knight. He jumped on his horse. "Away," he cried. "Where do you think he's going?" He galloped through the forest, clippity-clap, clippity-clap. He went to see the old wizard. "I have come for help," said the good knight. "How can I help you?" said the wizard, in a shaky, quaky voice. "My little dragon friends are not well," said the good knight. "What do you think the wizard's going to do then?" "I have just the thing," said the old wizard. "Got a big black pot, and he put in it fish scales, old snails, fingernails, and lizard tails. Do you think you would like that?" He stirred the soup round and round and round again. "Give this to your dragon," said the wizard. "It is the scaliest, snailiest soup. This will make them well." "Thank you, I will," said the good knight. He galloped through the forest, clippity-clap, clippity-clap, came to the deep, dark cave. "Oh, good," said the dragon. "You have come. This will make you get well," said the good knight. "I have scaly, snaily soup for you." The dragons looked at the soup. It was dark, it was thick. It smelled awful. "Yuck," said the dragons. "The soup is too smelly. We will not eat the smelly soup." And they turned up their little green noses. The good knight did not know what to do, but he was a good knight. "Can't be that bad," he said. "I will taste it myself." And he did. The good knight's face turned pale. He spit it out. "Phooey! That was bad," said the good knight. Sniffle, sniffle went the first dragon. Cough, cough went the second dragon. Achoo went the third dragon. "Fear not, good dragons, I will help you get well," said the good knight. He jumped on his horse. "Away," he called. He rode through the forest, clippity-clap, clippity-clap. He went back to the old wizard. "Back again," said the old wizard. "How can I help you this time?" "The soup did not help," said the good knight. "My little dragons are still sick." "I have just the thing," said the old wizard. He got a big black pot, and he put in frog slime, old grime, a rusty dime, and a rotten lime. What do you notice about all those words? He stirred the soup round and round and round again. "Give this to your dragon," said the wizard. "It is slimy, grimy soup. This will make them feel well." "Thank you, I will," said the good knight. He rode back through the forest, clippity-clap, clippity-clap, came to the deep, dark cave. "Oh, good," said the dragon. "You have come. This will make you well," said the good knight. "Try the slimy, grimy soup." The dragons looked at the soup. It was gooey. It was grimy. It looked slimy. Yuck, said the dragons. The soup is too slimy. We will not eat the slimy soup. And they turned up their little green noses. The good knight did not know what to do, but he was a good knight. What do you think he's going to do? He said, "It can't be that bad," said the good knight. "I will taste it myself." What happened the last time he did that? And he did, and the good knight's face turned green. He spat out the soup. "Dewey, that was really bad," said the good knight. Sniffle, sniffle went the first dragon. Cough, cough went the second dragon. Achoo went the third dragon. "Fear not, good knight," said the good knight. "I will help you get well." The good knight jumped on his horse. Away he cried. He rode through the forest, clippity-clop, clippity-clop. He did not go to see the old wizard. He went to see his mother. What do you think his mother's going to say? "Good day, good mother," said the good knight. "My little dragon friends are not feeling well. Can you help me?" "You are a good knight," said the mother. "You have come to the right place. I know just the thing." "But that's what the old wizard said," said the good knight. "Mothers know best," said the good knight's mother. What do you think his mother would suggest? What makes you feel better when you don't feel well? She got out a pot. She put lots of good things in it. A little of this and a little of that she stirred. She tasted. She said, "Give this to your dragons. That will make them feel well." "Thank you, good mother." "I will," said the good knight. The good knight rode back through the forest, clippity-clop, clippity-clop. He came to the deep, dark cave. "Oh, good," said the dragons. "You have come. This will make you feel well," said the good knight. "I have chicken soup for you." "Is it smelly?" said the dragons. "No," said the good knight. "Is it slimy?" asked the dragons. "No," said the good knight. The little dragons looked at the soup. It looked yummy. It smelled yummy. They held out their bowl. They tasted it. It was yummy. "Yum," said the dragon. They slurped their soup, slurp, slurp. They slurped until every drop was gone. Do you think they're going to feel better? "My head is not hot," said the first dragon. "My nose is not drippy," said the second dragon. "My teeth are not chattering," said the third dragon. "We are well," called the three dragons. "Thank you, good knight." "Achoo," said the good knight. So who was not feeling well at the end of the story? And that is Get Well, Good Night. We have some more good night stories to share, but first we have a little dragon rhyme. Dragon, dragon, turn around. Can you turn around? Dragon, dragon, touch the ground. Dragon, dragon, fly up high. Dragon, dragon, touch the sky. Dragon, dragon, swing your tail. Dragon, dragon, shake your scales. Dragon, dragon, give a roar. Can you roar? Dragon, dragon, sit on the floor. Let's try that again. Dragon, dragon, turn around. Can you turn around? Dragon, dragon, touch the ground. Dragon, dragon, fly up high. Dragon, dragon, touch the sky. Dragon, dragon, swing your tail. Dragon, dragon, shake your scales. Dragon, dragon, give a roar. Roar! Dragon, dragon, sit on the floor. Hey, we're going to share happy birthday, good night. It's a nice rainy night. It's a good night to listen to stories. The sun was rising over the deep, dark forest inside a cozy cave. There lived three dragons. They were talking with their friend, the good knight. "We have a problem," said the first dragon. "We need to get a birthday gift," said the second dragon. "For someone very special," said the third dragon. "We don't have any money. What can we do?" asked all the three dragons. The good knight thought and thought. He said, "Methinks I know. The most special gifts do not come from the store. They come from our hearts and our hands." "Nothing more," said the good knight. "What does that mean?" asked the three dragons. "What do you think that means? What could they do without any money for a gift?" The best gifts are the ones we make ourselves, said the good dragon. Said the good knight. Will you help us, please? Asked the dragons. The good knight did not know what to think. But he was a good knight. Come with me, he said. The good knight hitched up the cart. The dragons got in. He jumped on his horse. Clippity-clop, clippity-clop. They went through the deep, dark forest. The good knight's crumbly tower. We will make a cake, said the good knight. Everyone loves cake. In the good knight's kitchen, the work began. The dragon made a double layer, double chocolate, double swirl cake with sparkly sprinkles on top. At least they tried to. I think they made a mess. But the little dragons in one little kitchen could make a big mess with 3 little dragons. I don't believe this, said the good knight. There was flour on the ceiling, sugar on the chairs, cake batter on the floors, and sprinkles everywhere. This is a wreck, cried the good knight. He got clean-up buckets and the soapy suds, and he got the broom and the brushes. The dragon scrubbed the ceiling, scrubby. The dragon swept the floor, swish, swish, swish. They even washed the seats of the chairs, brusha. They cleaned until the little kitchen was clean. We still have a problem, said the dragons. We still don't have a birthday gift for somebody very special. And they began to cry, drippity-drop, dragon tears. The good knight did not know what to think, but he was good knight, so he came up with a new idea. Don't cry, good dragons, said the good knight. We will make a birthday card. Everybody loves birthday cards. Who do you think are making something for? Whose birthday do you think it is? In the good knight's study, they began to work. The little dragons made a giant pop-up birthday card with shimmering, glimmering rainbows. At least they tried to. But 3 little dragons in one little study can make one big mess. I don't believe this, cried the good knight. There was paint on the ceiling, glue on the chairs, paper on the floor, and glitter everywhere. And the pop-up card was glued shut. This is ruined, cried the good knight. He got the clean-up bucket and soapy suds, and got the brooms and the brushes. The dragon scrubbed the ceiling, scrubby. The dragon swept the floor, swish, swish, swish. They even washed the seats of the chairs, brusha. They cleaned until the study was clean. We still don't have a birthday gift for someone very special, said the dragons, and they began to cry, drippy, droopy, dragon tears. The good knight did not know what to think, but he was a good knight, and he had another good idea. We will put on a magic show. Everybody loves magic, he said. In the good knight's sitting room, they began to work. The dragons planned a flashy, splashy magic show with balloons, animals, bright-colored streamers, and birds that flew away. At least they tried to. What do you think happened? But 3 little dragons in one little sitting room can make one big mess. I don't believe this, cried the good knight. There were feathers on the ceiling, streamers on the stairs, on the chairs, bits of paper on the floor, and pop balloons everywhere. This is a disaster, he cried. Got to clean up buckets and soapy soap suds, and we got brooms and brushes. The dragon scrubbed the ceiling, scrubby. The dragon swept the floor, swishy. They even washed the seats of the chairs, brusha. They cleaned until the sitting room was clean. The good knight sat down at his little kitchen table. It was very late. He was very tired. The clock struck midnight. Oh no, cried the little dragons. Now it is too late. The dragons began to cry, drippy, droopy, dragon tears. Today was your birthday. We wanted the birthday gift for you. Now it's too late, said the dragons. The good knight looked at his calendar. Yes, indeed, it was his birthday. He began to smile, and then he giggled and laughed. You have given me the best gift there is, he said. The dragons did not know what to think. He did not make a cake, or a card, or a magic show. He only made big, fat messes, they said. You made something else. You made me laugh, said the good knight. The gift of laughter is the best gift there is. The dragons thought of the big, fat messes. They began to smile. They giggled and laughed. They laughed until the droopy dragon tears were all gone. Look how happy they look, laughing. Yes, little dragon, I will never forget this day, the good knight said. Then the good knight and the three little dragons ate the burnt cake. The good knight opened his sticky, gooey card, and the dragons did a magic trick. Then the dragons began to sing, Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, good night, happy birthday to you. Thank you, good dragons, said the good knight. It was a good birthday. Right. And we have another little rhyme to do. 10 dizzy dragons lived long ago in a land filled with magic where few people go. The first dragon wore a garland of flowers. The second dragon had strong magic powers. The third dragon flew wildly through the air. The fourth dragon lived in a jewel-filled lair. The fifth dragon liked to blow pretty bubbles. The sixth dragon rescued people in trouble. The seventh dragon wore a crown made of gold. The eighth dragon had a heart brave and bold. The ninth dragon was very sad. He was a bit of a crier. And the 10th dragon breathed a smoky red fire. 10 dizzy dragons lived long ago in a land filled with magic where your dreams can go. And we have good night, and then we're going to sing our goodbye song. Once there were 3 little dragons. They lived in a dark cave. The cave was in a dense forest. The forest was in a faraway kingdom. The poor little dragons were very lonely in their deep, dark cave. In the kingdom there was a good knight, and every night he kept watch. He watched from a crumbly-tumbly tower. It was on top of a very tall wall. One night, the good knight was on his watch, and he heard a very large, very loud roar. What do you think it is? So the good knight left the crumbly-tumbly tower, climbed down the very tall wall, jumped on his horse, and away, he said. He galloped through the king's forest, clippity-clop, clippity-clop. He came to the deep, dark cave, and inside he saw the first little dragon. What is this, he asked. He thinks it is a dragon, and he drew his shimmery-glimmery sword. Dragon had on his jammies. He was all ready for bed. Oh, good, you've come, said the dragon. Would you bring me a drink of water, please? Then I can go to sleep. The good knight did not know what to think, but he was a good knight. So he got a drink of water and he gave it to the dragon. Then he tucked him in bed. Good night, good dragon. Sleep well, sleep tight, said the good knight. And then he galloped away. The good knight went back through the king's forest, clippity-clop, clippity-clop, got off his horse, thud, climbed up the very tall wall to the crumbly-tumbly tower, and then he stood on watch. He stood on watch for 5 minutes, and then he heard another very large, very loud roar. What was that? I don't believe this, he said. He left the crumbly-tumbly tower. He climbed down the very tall wall. He jumped on his horse. Away, he cried. He galloped through the king's forest. Clippity-clop, clippity-clop. Came to the deep, dark cave. The second dragon was in her jammies, and she was all ready for bed. Oh, good, you've come, said the second dragon. Could you read me a story, please? And then I can go to sleep. And could I have another drink of water, said the first dragon. The good knight did not know what to think, but he was a good knight, so he read the dragon a story, and then he tucked her into bed. He got the first dragon another drink of water, and then he tucked him into bed. Good night, good dragon, sleep well, sleep tight, said the good knight, and then he galloped away. The good knight went back through the king's forest, clippity-clop, clippity-clop. He got off his horse, thud. He climbed up the very tall wall into the crumbly-tumbly tower, and then he stood on watch. He stood on watch for 2 minutes, and then what happened? He heard another very large, very loud roar. Who do you think that was? This is too much, he said. He left the crumbly-tumbly tower, climbed down the very tall wall, jumped on his horse, away he cried. He galloped through the king's forest, clippity-clop, came to the deep, dark cave. The third dragon had on his jammies. He was all ready for bed. Oh, good, you have come, said the third dragon. Would you sing me a song, please? Then I could go to sleep. And could you read me another story, said the second dragon. And can you get me another drink of water, said the first dragon. The good knight did not know what to think, but he was good knight, so he sang the dragon a song. Then he tucked him in bed. He read the second dragon another story, and then he tucked her in bed. He got the first dragon another drink of water, and then he tucked him in bed. Good night, good dragon, sleep well, sleep tight, said the good knight, and then he galloped away. The good knight went back through the king's forest, clippity-clop, clippity-clop. He got off his horse Thud, climbed up to the very tall wall in the crumbly-tumbly tower, and then he stood watch. He stood on watch for 1 minute, and then he heard the largest, loudest roar of a fall. Not again, he said. He left the crumbly-tumbly tower. He climbed down the very tall wall. He jumped on his horse. Away, he cried. He galloped through the king's forest, clippity-clop, clippity-clop. Came to the deep, dark cave. Oh, good, you have come, all three dragons said. What do you think the dragons want this time? Let me guess, said the good knight. Another drink of water? No, said the first dragon. Another story? No, said the second dragon. Another song? No, said the third dragon. What do you think they want? And what do you want? Cried the good knight. We need a good night kiss, said the little dragon, and they lifted their scaly little cheeks. This is going too far, said the good knight. But he was a good knight, so he bent and kissed each scaly little cheek. Good night, good dragons, sleep well, sleep tight, he said. The dragon said, good night, good night. The good knight left the cave. He waited outside. He heard the loud dragon snores. Then the good knight went home through the king's forest, clippity-clop, clippity-clop, got off his horse Thud. Now, said the good knight, maybe I can get a good night's sleep. And that is just what he did. Sleep well, sleep tight, good night. And that is good night, good night. And now it is time for us to say goodbye. We clap to sing goodbye. We clap to sing goodbye. We are here at Storytime. We clap and sing goodbye. We wave to sing goodbye. We wave to sing goodbye. We are here at Storytime. We wait to sing goodbye. We stop to sing goodbye. We stop to sing goodbye. We are here at Storytime. We stop to sing goodbye. I hope you enjoyed hearing about good night and the good night stories about our night. We have more stories that we'll share next time.